34 days to election 2020. This is your election headquarters. However, today we are not bringing you election brief. We are suspending election brief for today. Election brief will be back with you same time tomorrow. But today, in place of election brief, we're bringing you a playback of the Nation Building series. You know, this is a program that is put together by the government information machinery. And today, the spotlight is on agriculture. The guest of honor today is the Agriculture Minister, Dr. Owusu Efriye Akoto. Let's watch.
The Planting for Food and Jobs is a marketing technique of branding. We decided that all government initiatives, policies in the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in the area of food and agriculture will be branded Planting for Food and Jobs. And the key objectives of this program are to raise the productivity of smallholding agriculture for a very simple reason. Ghanaian agriculture is dominated by smallholders. They produce about 90% of agricultural output. So the strategy is to assist them to increase their productivity. Productivity, which is one of the lowest in the world, even by West African standards. The Ghanaian smallholder has very, very low productivity. And what I mean by productivity is in terms of output per unit area, an acre or a hectare, or even in terms of Mondays, what output comes out after spending so many Mondays in the field. What does he get out of this? All these, you will see if you compare to other countries, even in West Africa, are very low. And typically, you find cocoa is a classic example. The Ghanaian farmer, cocoa farmer, gets only 450 kilograms per hectare, not even half a ton. And yet you go to Ecuador, you see it's very common to be getting 2-3 tons per hectare. Even Cote d'Ivoire is making it more than a ton per hectare. So we've had a problem. I don't want to go into why it happened, but that is what we met in 2017, January, when Nana Akufo-Addo swore the oath to the people of Ghana. The idea is immediately to attain national food sufficiency, improve access to markets for farm produce, and also create the infrastructure to hold some of these stocks against bad years. That is the warehouse, increasing warehouse capacity. Then, of course, it's not just harvesting the raw material, but also the aim is to add value by processing into other products to add value and to create more jobs. Then increasing exports of agricultural produce and products and the creation of jobs. So you see that planting for food and for the creation of jobs, that is the essence of our program for the last 4 years. In the implementation, we have Planting for Food and Jobs come into 5 modules. The first is what you all know as Planting for Food and Jobs, because it was the first to be launched by the President in April in Goso in 2017. But since then, we've rolled out the other 4 modules, which would be the tree crop module, which will be the livestock module, and we've given them names as we go along, and then the villages, the warehouse, the villages that we are creating to be able to use high tech to increase production of vegetables. And then trying to increase the mechanization on smallholdings using technology which is suitable for smallholdings, but also looking at the large commercial farmers. Then all of this to be captured in the e-agriculture, which is to monitor what goes on. We have to know the numbers, how many farmers are participating, how many acres they are doing, how many kilograms of each type of crop seed is being applied, the fertilizer is being applied, and all that to be captured on a platform that we call e-agriculture. The planting for the food crop module, which, as I say, has become known as taking the title of the program, is the improvement of productivity through the application of improved seed and fertilizer. These are the two resources that the program seeks to ensure that all smallholder farmers have improved seed and fertilizer. The fact of the matter is that the technological content of Ghanaian agriculture is very, very low. Only about 10% when we took over in 2017. Only about 10% of farmers were applying improved seeds and fertilizer. So the idea was to try to get fertilizers and seeds to as many smallholders as possible. But you know that smallholder farmers are some of the poorest group of workers in Ghana. So it was going to be a problem, even if you make these resources available at the farm gate. The ability to buy does not exist for a lot of them. And this program is all-inclusive. So we had to come in with a heavy batch of subsidies. So for the fertilizers, the government decided we're going to reduce the price. The taxpayer was going to take 50%. The farmer was going to pay only half. And this is by far the biggest subsidy in the whole of West Africa. It doesn't exist. You go to Togo, there's no subsidy on fertilizer and seeds. You go to Cote d'Ivoire, there's no subsidy on fertilizer and seeds. You go to Burkina Faso, there's none. So we are surrounded by countries which have no subsidy of this support for their farmers. But Ghana, fertilizer, we decided that we are going to reduce the price so that every smallholder can have access. And secondly, the seed, which is the center to everything that we are doing. That Ghanaian scientists have stayed in their laboratories using traditional breeding methods to create new varieties of seeds, of basic food seeds. We're talking about maize, we're talking about rice, we're talking about soya, sorghum, and others. And these have stayed in the laboratories without any connection to the farmer. Our idea was to take these seeds from the shelves of the scientists and bring it to the farm gate so the farmer can use it. And the difference between improved seed, for instance, if you're talking about maize, the traditional seed which most smallholder farmers use. In other words, after the harvest, they will put some kilograms up somewhere, and then the following year they will bring it back and plant it. And that has been the practice for a large majority of smallholder farmers. So there's no technology involved. It's just a traditional seed that they've been planting. And these will give you just about 150 kilograms per acre, compared to hybrid seed, which our scientists here at the University of Ghana and other places have developed. The Crop Research Institute and other institutes have developed these hybrids. They can give you 10 times more, what I call using the same sweat, 10 times more yield than the traditional seed. And you go to Sicily East and Sicily West, they are doing it. So the idea is to bring these hybrids to all farmers in Ghana of maize. And the same thing for the rice and for sorghum and for soya. What we call favor is a variety also developed locally, which gives much higher yields and higher protein content and so on. So all these have been denied our farmers either because there was no effort to bring it to them, or they just couldn't afford the price. So for instance, a hybrid seed cost us in the ministry, as the government, 25 cedis per kilogram. 2018, we gave it to the farmers at 3 cedis. 3 cedis. And I'll demonstrate to you the volumes, the jumps in the supply of these improved seeds and fertilizer to farmers, and hence what we are seeing today are the surpluses that has become the title, the breadbasket of West Africa. Because all manner of trucks are coming from Guinea, from Kano, from Burkina Faso to pick our grains, which are the closing stocks of last year. And I'll tell you more about that. So we have that, and not only that, we are also making provision for the marketing of the grains. And it means that we have recreated NAFCO, the National Buffer Stock Company, and I'm glad to see the CEO here, Alhaji Wahab, with us, which had gone bust, and all the warehouses had been shut, and were offering accommodation to lizards and other reptiles. We came in, we opened all these 34 warehouses, and not only that, we decided that we were going to build 80 1,000 metric ton warehouses across the country. And I'm glad to report that out of the 80, 51 are ready to be handed over to me in the next few weeks. So we inherited a warehousing capacity of 34,000 metric tons, and at a stroke, we're able to add 80,000 metric tons of capacity to existing ones. That is the Akufo-Addo government for you. Extension services were almost non-existent. You know, extension is the link between science and the farmer. I'm talking about our scientists doing hard work, breeding varieties which give high yield, resistant to drought, to disease, and so on, and we're sitting on their shelves. And we're now bringing them from the shelves to the field. And to do that, you need the extension officers to work with the farmers in the field. When I took over in January 2017, I decided to do an audit of the number of extension officers in this country. On the books, we are supposed to have 4,400 extension officers. What did I find? There were only less than 1,600. And listen to this. Out of the 1,600, 80% of them were going on pension in the next 3 years. So there was no extension. Instantly, I went to cabinet and made a very strong case, and I was allowed to employ 2,700 new extension officers. So agriculture is on the rise. Agriculture is on the rise. So we have them in the field, and I intend, because we are so confident we are coming back, to ask the next cabinet to give me another 2,000 extension officers to strengthen boost our technology. So that is the expansion of our warehouse capacity, our extension capacity, and then our agriculture. Planting for export and rural development, the tree crop module. You may have heard only 3 weeks to a month ago that the president of the Tree Crop Development Authority. This is an act of parliament that I piloted through cabinet to create this authority with 6 selected crops, tree crops, to boost our monoculture agriculture, which has totally been dependent upon cocoa all these years. So, but before we did that, we had to start the preparation. Our strategy in the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is not to outdoor anything until we are well into implementation. So, under planting for export and rural development, these 7 crops, we are working closely with the Ministry of Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, that the DCs, the district chief executives, were given the assignment to help raise 7 crops and distribute them free of charge to farmers. So apart from the food crops that I've told you about, there is the cash crop component, which is to diversify out of the single cocoa, which has held us all these years, 140, 150 years, to develop other crops to the standard of cocoa in terms of the revenue that we are getting. Cocoa is giving us something like $2.3 billion a year. We want each one, and listen to me carefully, each one of these selected 6 crops, 7 crops if you add coffee, to give us also at least $2 billion. And the idea is one, import substitution. If I take you to Kotoka Airport on a Friday night, and you see the number of aeroplanes arriving from Europe, South Africa, and so on, the amount of vegetables that they are pouring out of their holds, you'll be very surprised. And it's feeding the tourist sector, the hotel industry, and so on. We want not only to be self-sufficient, we want to make horticulture a major source of foreign exchange earning for this country. You go to Kenya, which is about 3 times further away from the European market. They earn $3 billion for horticulture alone, $3 billion. And we are importing instead of exporting. So we want to change the whole narrative so that we will be exporting to the European market. We are much closer, 5.5 hours to the market. Those who are 10 hours away are still making it. So we can make it. And through this idea of the greenhouse villages, we want to start. Already, private sector is being attracted into these villages. We want to fill all the villages, their lands and beyond, and then create more such villages. We are talking to foreign investors are coming, making inquiries. As I speak to you, there's a group here in Ghana who arrived 2 nights ago, and I had a long meeting with them. They are very serious. They want to come and pour money into the greenhouse technology. So that is the area of the 3rd module, greenhouse villages. The 4th module is rearing for food and jobs. Of course, you know what it means, livestock. The livestock module is to increase the productivity of the livestock sector. Just like their crop component, livestock in Ghana has very low productivity. It takes so long to add a kilogram of meat to a cow or to a sheep or to a pig, and a poultry is no different. So we've entered into this arrangement where we are buying high breeding species from around West Africa to come and cross with our locals so that we can improve the productivity of our local livestock breeds. And that is ongoing. I'll talk more about that later on. Then, of course, we're talking about the infrastructure, the housing and plant and equipment for processing and so on, which we are looking at. And then improving the veterinary services to take care of the health of the animals that we are raising. Mechanization is the last of the 5 modules. You know, the mechanical content of smallholder agriculture is very, very small. The biggest effort made was the establishment by Kufuor administration of mechanization centers, the farm mechanization centers. About 86 were created, but since Kufuor left, the government which followed did not maintain these, so that you had only a few operating, the rest are just falling apart. We have come in, and with the help of Brazilian facilities, we have resuscitated 56 of these centers, and we are going to increase it. We are going to increase the number of agricultural mechanization centers all across the country, especially in the savanna regions of this country, which calls for such expansion. So we bring in tractors and implements and so on. And the government of Akufo-Addo took the decision that we are going to subsidize these machinery by as much as 40%. So a tractor and its components would normally cost you 240,000 cedis. With 140,000, you can have a set. And I think that the commercial part of this, the commercial sector has been very responsive. I know a lot of commercial farmers that have benefited from this program, and they are looking for more. So we are still talking to the Brazilian government. In order that the last tranche of this facility will be available in the first quarter of next year. And then in the meantime, we have a facility, 150 million facility with the Indian Exim Bank to bring in equipment and so on. So that will kick in next year, in the second half. So the machinery, the mechanization content of Ghanaian agriculture is going to be beefed up to help in increasing the productivity. And it's really targeted at smallholder technology. And in my travels around the world, Brazil is the country which has the best machinery for smallholders, to the extent that they even do gari machinery. So we are thinking that we are going to bring in more of these to strengthen our gari sector in Ghana to make food much cheaper for everyone. Saying all this, we haven't forgotten about irrigation. You know, Ghana, the irrigation component in Ghanaian agriculture is very, very small. In fact, up to now, the total area under irrigation in Ghana is only 13,600 hectares. For all these years that we've had independence, we haven't been able to do it. And we started with the big projects, Tono and Pong irrigation schemes, which have all grounded to a halt when we arrived. We are making effort now with the World Bank support to rehabilitate the Tono irrigation scheme, the Pong Left Bank irrigation project, and the Pong irrigation project, which we are currently working on. Then we had the construction of small dams under the One Village, One Dam. Most of it is being done by the Ministry of Special Initiatives, but we have some section of it that we are constructing. In fact, the last time I was the president in the North, he launched one of these programs which have been completed and the farmers were using. So that is in terms of the irrigation. Now let's go into the achievements of PFJ. There are certain indicators in terms of the resources that we are giving to the farmers. Now I want to go through one by one with you to see the impact of the project, of the program. We started with 120 in 2016 when we took over. Only 120,000 farmers were benefiting from any subsidy on fertilizer. When we came in, our target was to choose 200,000 farmers around the country and start the program with them. At the end of 2017, we had 202,000 farmers beneficiaries of the program, of the subsidies on fertilizer, on the improved seed. 2018, the number jumped to 677,000. 2019, it went to just under 1.2 million beneficiaries. And this year, we project that we'll have 1.5 million beneficiaries. So from a very modest beginning of 200,000, we are hoping that at the end of this year, we would have reached 1.5 million. And listen to this. There has been, under my watch, actually under my chairmanship, an agricultural census for the first time in 33 years. The last census was done in 1984. The UN recommends that every member state should have an agricultural census and a population census at least once every 10 years. We have been negligent and have allowed this to go on for 33 years, which means that policies are being carried out in the blind because you don't really know what is happening. So in this term, in this short period, we've managed to organize an agricultural census, and the results are out, and the president launched the program only 2 weeks ago. It's not just doing it, but we need the knowledge and the data to guide us in the policy going forward. So now we have the data, and the data is saying that there are just over 3 million farm households in Ghana. So if in this short period we managed to reach nearly 1.5 million, it means we've done very, very well, and I think we need commendation. It's the seriousness with which we have approached the revival of our agriculture, the transformation agenda of this government. Is not just distributing things to farmers, but to make sure that we have the numbers to guide us in going forward. Now, the quantity of seeds supplied, you'll be amazed. In 2000, only 2,000 metric tons of seed, of improved seed, was applied in Ghana by smallholders. When we came in, we targeted 4,000 metric tons, and I'm talking about maize, rice, sorghum, soya, granules, and so on. We decided that we are going to double that as a target, 4,000. At the end of it, we distributed 4,400 seeds, metric tons of seed, improved seed, to farmers. It went up to 6,800 plus in 2018 and jumped to 18,333 metric tons of improved seed to our farmers last year. And this year, listen to this, we are distributing almost 30,000 metric tons of improved seed. So if our opponents are telling you, oh, it's the rain, it's the rain, it's not the rain, it's the resources that we are giving to the sector which is producing the results. And tell them that. And I hope that you take note of these figures that I'm giving you. These are genuine figures because we have bought the seeds, we have supplied the seeds, and we have the records. You can come to the ministry to check. But even more fantastic is the rate at which we have raised fertilizer application in this country. Before we came, the highest amount of fertilizer distributed under the program, the subsidy program, which was actually introduced by the Kufuor administration in 2007, was 134,000 metric tons. That was 2015. Now, first year we distributed 167,000 metric tons of NPK and urea. 2018, it went up to 247,000 metric tons. 2019 to 331,000 metric tons, and this year we estimate that we have distributed 418,000 metric tons of fertilizer. So you can see that we are building up very rapidly in terms of resources. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the subsidy that we are giving, we are paying giving to the farmers is worth, if you calculate it, something like $100 million a year. I want you to read my lips. I'm saying that the Kufuor government has given away to smallholding farmers nearly $100 million a year since it came into office. It's never happened in the history of agricultural policy in this country. I'm glad you are clapping because it's your money, it's not mine. It's the taxpayers' money that we are giving to the farmers. And it really shows you this government believes in equality, giving opportunities to the poorest, for all of us to rise and not leaving anyone behind because they are poor or because of their social background. So it's an all-inclusive policy, this planting for food and jobs that we are talking about. Now, when it comes to the jobs that have been created, we are talking about nearly over 2 million jobs have been created in the rural economy by this Planting for Food and Jobs program. In fact, it's been so successful that we have migrants coming from Togo, from Burkina Faso during the peak season to help us to harvest our crop. Had it not been for this COVID, this year there would have been floods and floods of them coming to earn a living on our farms to help us to bring in our harvest. This is a wonderful thing, and I think that we need to be cognizant of this. The first year we created 747,000 jobs, and then it's gone up to just above 2 million cumulatively over the period. Just to give you a sense of what is all this? These huge amounts of subsidy to the farmers and so on. How is it impacting on their productivity? Because at the end of the day, I told you the idea is to raise the productivity of the farmers using indicators like yield per hectare, yield per Monday, and all that. We will just decide that we'll go on the yield per acre concept, so that yield per hectare concept. In 2016, which is a base year, the average yield of maize in Ghana was 1.8 metric tons per hectare. 1.8 metric tons. 2017, when we started dishing out these improved seeds and fertilizers in increasing amounts, the average yield went to 3 metric tons per hectare. And it's been steadily going up. 2019, just below 4 metric tons per hectare. And this is because we are encouraging these improved seeds of maize. I mean, the lowest form of improved seed is what we call the open pollinated. So that was what we targeted. But suddenly we are beginning to raise the level, the bar for hybrid seeds, which gives even higher yields. So this is all reflected in national averages, where you see that there's steadily improvement in the yields. The rice, in terms of paddy, we're doing below 3 tons, 2.9 metric tons in 2016 when we took over, and we managed to drive it to 4.3 metric tons in 2019. This year we expect that it will go up because the amount of agro seedlings, which is a higher yielding variety, that we've distributed is far more than any that we've distributed so far. So we expect that in 2020, this figure of 4.3 metric tons per hectare may be inching towards 5 tons per hectare. Soya bean, in 2016, it was 1.7 metric tons per hectare. We reached 2.2 metric tons per hectare. And so is sorghum, 1.1 metric tons per hectare. We've now, by 2019, we had reached 1.6 metric tons per hectare. How is this reflected in production? And this is at the end of the day, we want more output so that we can all be fed at a reasonable price and be happy in our homes. Maize, which is, for me, by far the most important food crop in Ghana, because it's the only crop which grows in all the 4 corners of this country, and it's also the staple crop for all ethnic groups. So in terms of food security, it's very, very important. We had never been able to do 2 million, as a country, ever been able to do 2 million metric tons of maize in any year. In fact, in 2016, which was a fairly good year in terms of weather and so on, we did 1.7 million metric tons, of which about 1.5 million, in my estimation, 1.5 million metric tons stay in the producing areas, because as I said, it's ethnic, and the rest, about 500,000 tons, came on the national market. In 1.7 to 2 million metric tons in 2017 when we started the program. Now, listen to this, 2019, from 2 million, it went to 2.9 million metric tons in 2019. This year, we expect to harvest more than 3.5 million metric tons of maize. That is quite a dramatic increase, because the increases in yields that you have demonstrated is reflected in existing, even within the existing areas. But there's a lot of incentives of farmers widening their areas of cultivation, and new entrants, young people and professionals going into agriculture, and they are going into agriculture for maize and other food crops to start with before the other catch crops. So you can see that it's historic, that 2020, this year, we're expecting nearly 3.5 million metric tons. But distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, Ghana can produce 6, 7, 8 million metric tons, given our endowment. We just need to push and make sure that high-yield hybrid seeds are given to our farmers, and they will deliver to us. And all of that, as I said, it's only 1.5 million tons that we domestically consume. So the rest of it, where will they go? They are being exported. As I said, you go to the northern part of the country, the middle of the country, you see a lot of car, vehicle numbers, trucks, and so on, doing brisk business, taking our surpluses away. And this all helps to create wealth in the rural economy. When it comes to rice, there is a significant increase also going on. I think I said in Parliament last year that by 2023, Ghana will be self-sufficient in rice, and we are on course to do that. When we took over in 2016, 688,000 metric tons of paddy was produced. Last year, we produced more than twice that number, to nearly 1.4 million metric tons. 1.4 million metric tons of paddy. If you mill it, the numbers come down because you are taking away the husk and so on. But the fact that we are having a steady, not even a steady, a strong growth in rice production is a clear indication that we are doing it. And how are we doing it? We are not doing it through the traditional savanna area. Now we are coming to the forest regions. We have huge tracts of rice lands in the valleys of the forest regions, which we have ignored all these years. Now we are encouraging regions like Eastern region, Central region, Western region to grow more rice. We are supplying them with seeds, agro seeds, high-yielding seeds, and the farmers are beginning to see the opportunities in there, and they are flocking into the valleys of the forest region. Not only that, you go to valleys like Fumbisi in the north. The whole Fumbisi Valley, they have something like 20,000 hectares. We have developed less than 1,000 hectares. And that 20,000 hectare area can feed the whole of Ghana, and I would say most of West Africa. So we have entered the Fumbisi Valley, and we are clearing the lands under an agricultural development, African Development Bank facility, and we started the development. We put in 2 mills there. The private sector is also putting up a rice mill there. The chiefs have asked the president that they should open an agricultural college, which we are working very closely with the Ministry of Education to establish. So all these are giving us the confidence that my date of 2023 to make Ghana self-sufficient will come to pass. The reason why the poultry industry in Ghana collapsed was because we didn't have enough soybean. So one of the first targets that we came in was to raise the production of soybean, and I'm happy to report that that effort is yielding results. From 170,000 that we started in terms of production of soybean in 2017, we've gone past the 200,000 mark in 2020, and we know that we're going to go even further. There's a huge opportunity open up in China because of the trade war with America. They are no longer buying American soya beans, and Brazil has nearly the monopoly. We want to be able to develop our soya bean to take advantage of that market so that we can enter as a major exporter from West Africa. And I think we are on track to produce high-yielding varieties that we call Favor, the Favor variety, which is very high-yielding, has high protein content, and the nitrogen fixation on the soil is perfect. So we are engaging the scientists and the entrepreneurs to come and give us the seeds so that we can give to the farmers to plant. So we are on track there. The same goes for sorghum. When we came in, sorghum production in 2016 was only 230,000 metric tons. Now we've gone past, we are nearly doing 360,000 metric tons of sorghum. So all these great productivity and the entry, new entrants coming into the market, and those farmers existing, expanding their business because they see an opportunity for them to make their profits. With Development Authority is busily working to rehabilitate the 3 major dams, the Tono Irrigation Authority, irrigation project, the Pong left bank and the right bank of Pong, which we are almost there. I mean, as we speak, as of September 2020, the Pond left bank is 73% complete. Had it not been the coverage, would have gone even further, and is able now to irrigate 2,000 hectares of land. Tono is 75% complete, will give us on completion 2,500 hectares. The Pong right bank irrigation scheme is just about half complete, and when it's completed, will give us an additional 3,200. And the 14 small dams under the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority, 10 out of the 14 have been completed, and the rest are to be completed. But I don't want to forget about a major investment in irrigation in North. That's the Pualugu Irrigation Scheme. The Pualugu Irrigation Scheme will be the single biggest investment in the northern sector in this country, ever. Almost $1 billion. Almost $1 billion of GOG money, government of Ghana money. We are not going to borrow money from anywhere. It's good. It will be our money, and we are going to invest in Pualugu to create the dam to generate electricity and to be able to irrigate 25,000 hectares of land. I told you that Ghana, as I speak, we have only 13,600 hectares under irrigation. At a go, Pualugu is going to add 25,000 hectares of irrigable land to this country. So it's a huge investment. And last year, the President of the Republic was kind enough to go and launch the beginning of the construction of this project. Still on indicators as to the impact of planting for food and jobs when it comes to application of resources. Fertilizer usage when we came in was only 8 kilograms per hectare. And just to give you a sense of it, the world average of fertilizer application is 130 kilograms per hectare. Ghana, when we took over, was only 8 kilograms per hectare. And in 2008, the ECOWAS presidents gave a figure that our target was to reach 30 kilograms per hectare in 10 years. 10 years have come and gone, and none of the ECOWAS member states has been able to reach the 30 kilograms. But the intervention of planting for food and jobs has raised Ghana's 8 kilograms per hectare in 2016 to 20 kilograms per hectare in 2019. So when the 4 more years come, we are going to meet the ECOWAS target of 30 kilograms per hectare. Also, the farmer extension ratio has also gone up because of the decision to employ 2,700 new extension officers. Instead of running the whole thing down, it's been revived. So instead of one extension officer to 1,900 or so in 2016, now we have one extension officer to 706 in 2019. And I'm saying that within the 4 more years, we are going to double that number. So it will come down to even 300, one extension officer to only 300 farmers to make their work more effective. And as a support to the extension services, with the help of the Canadian government, we have provided 300 pickups to the extension officers and 3,400 motorbikes to them to support their work in the field. So now, extension officers can move to farms, be with the farmers, teaching them how to apply the improved varieties of seed and the amount of fertilizer and when to apply, and all those things are back on track. And this is all to create the fundamentals to ensure that it is a lasting intervention by this government to assist smallholder farmers to increase their productivity. When it comes to the fall army wear, I think I said this in Parliament, that we have defeated that army. We have defeated that army. Because in the year when we took over innocently, we didn't know that that army had started the year before. And the previous administration didn't do much about it. So whilst I was doing my planting for food and jobs, suddenly the enemy popped up, destroying our farmlands and so on. So in 2017, we lost 4,247 hectares of precious farmland to that army. So I took up arms with my army, led by the indefatigable madam sitting there, the director of PPRSD and the other staff, and we're able to reduce to only 76 hectare loss in 2018. And last year, 2019, only 26 hectares were lost, because now that we've taught the farmers how to treat it, we make chemicals available, extension officers are aware how to go about this. So all the stakeholders are now aware of the army. And as I report to you now, there's no report of even 1 hectare destroyed in 2020. So what I say, I've defeated that army, you trust I have. Now, what are the impacts on inflation and all this? Food inflation decreased from 9.7% in 2016 to 7.2% in 2019, with a positive impact on the overall inflation rate. You know that since we took over the governance of this country, inflation has been coming down. When we took over, it was 15%. It came down all the way to 8.7 something. For the COVID impact, we would have kept it even lower. But now you see that it went up to 10, 11, and it's coming down again. And all because there's more than enough food to keep prices down in the urban areas, and that is helping greatly to fight inflation in this country. NAFCO supplied 134,000 metric tons of food items to senior high schools. The free SHS we are supporting through a buffer stock company to supply schools with quite a lot of grains. Food export to neighboring countries. That's another very interesting area. Ghana, when we say that it's becoming the breadbasket of West Africa, I mean it. A month ago, I received a strong petition from the Rice Farmers Association that they have observed these foreign trucks, big trucks, coming to buy paddy, rice, maize, whatever it is, and that if we don't take care, there will be shortage of food in Ghana. I looked at the petition and I called my advisors together and explained to them that they have no case. Why do they not have a case? The stocks that they were trading were closing stocks from 2019. We were just at the beginning of harvesting the new crop. So if we don't get rid of those stocks and we add the new harvest to it, of course, it's going to drive prices down to the disadvantage of our farmers. So if we have people coming to buy our stock, they shouldn't worry at all. There will be no shortage. So they should go and tell the petitioners. So they call them and explain to them and ask them the same questions that I put to them, and they couldn't find an answer. So it is a good way to say that it's evidence to prove that Ghana is becoming the breadbasket of West Africa, because we have done some research. You know, we are in all food markets in Ghana. Every food market of any significance in Ghana, there's an officer of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture collecting data on the prices of various food items day by day and reporting back. So we have a bank of data. And at the same time, because the local authorities, they derive most of their revenue from the markets, they have pristine primary data on the amount of food coming into the market and what is going out. And you go through their records, you can't doubt them. So we've gone through these records and compiled the figures. 2018, we were able to export something like 130,000 metric tons of 19 food items to our neighboring countries in West Africa. 130,000. And when we put the prices on top of it, we are talking about nearly $80 million worth of transaction that was done. And I'm sure when the 2020 data arrives on my desk, I will see a huge jump, because we've seen the activities of these trucks coming from Niger, from Guinea, from northern Nigeria, from Togo and all that. So there's a healthy relationship going on, and Ghanaian farmers have now been supported. We have gone beyond self-sufficiency. We have now become producers of food for West Africa. So still on the planting for export and rural development, still talking about the achievements. Under the PED, the Planting for Export and Rural Development, we have managed to distribute between 2018, when the program was launched, and 2019, these 2 years, we're able to distribute 16 million seedlings of these 6 crops to farmers through the district chief executives. That's a tremendous effort. That's a tremendous effort. So that is what we're able to do. And the baton has now passed on to the newly enacted Tree Crops Development Authority, which the president has launched, and they are going to take over this whole development agenda for these 6 crops to make sure that we achieve the targets by 2028, that we are producing enough and exporting enough to be able to earn the $16 billion target that we set for the authority to achieve. And we know it's very easily achievable if they are able to meet all their requirements. So the greenhouse villages, we have trained 296 graduates as of December 2019, of which 190 are receiving their internship in Israel and are coming back. The Rearing for Food and Jobs in 2019, we were able to distribute improved cockerels, 30,000 to 3,000 farmers. That was a pilot. This year is even much bigger that we are supplying to farmers. And then 7,500 small ruminants of sheep supplied to 750 farmers in selected districts, just to start off. 2018, we re-established the Wawase Cattle Ranch in their front place with a capacity to store 6,000 cattle, established to minimize the conflict between the Fulanis and the locals. If you realize that has come down a lot. And it's because we started this program plus other programs. There are 4 of such ranches in our farm place that we are reviving. This was a pilot. It's proven to be very successful, and we intend to re-establish the ones which have been abandoned since Kufuor's time, to increase the capacity to store, to hold more cattle. And the interesting thing is it's become a model, because a lot of the DCs and so on in the transition zone and in the savannah have come there to see how we are managing it, and they are very determined that on their own they also go and establish some of these ranches in order to reduce the conflict between the Fulani herdsmen and the locals. Mechanization. We have produced so many, we have distributed 230 tractors and 11,000 assorted agricultural machinery and equipment that we've received from Brazil, 700 threshers and 1,000 rice harvesters procured and distributed, and 370 operators have been trained to operate and manage these tractors. Now, certified seeds and so on, local capacity of certified seed production, distribution, and usage. These are all information. Domestic capacity of fertilizer manufacture to increase from 20 kilograms to 30 by 2025. I think I've mentioned that rice production and processing to reach self-sufficiency in 2023. 1.5 million metric tons is our target. The national grain storage capacity from 97,000 that we are putting up now, we want to expand it